Hi, everyone. I'm April Rhaynes. Welcome to our broadcast today, and I hope that you'll enjoy the time that you spend with us.
And I'm Dr. D. I'll be your hostess today. And actually, I'm playing second fiddle to April. My job is to kind of help her tell her story. If you remember, this is now the third episode, the third time that April has joined us to tell her story on her gender journey, her both medical and social transition, and how things are going. All right, so April, we'd like to have you share your heart, time, and mind with us. So let me kind of lead off with the same question we have the last two times. So, was it the right decision for you to start on hormones?
I think you can tell by my smile that you probably know the answer to that question already, but I'll vocalize it and say absolutely that it was really the very best. It has been kind of a really interesting journey. It's been wondrous, in the past 6 months. It's been scary at times as I've tried to figure out. Who is this person now that I'm becoming? Because it really is much more of an evolution that I saw through my first 2.5 years before I began to take hormones. So it has been just absolutely wonderful, with one exception, and that is puberty for the second time around. Going through puberty number 2 at 70 years of age is certainly something that I never expected, and at times something I really don't want to do. Yet I understand why and what I'm going through, and really just the implications of it all, and how amazing it is. So yeah, it's been good decision. Here I am. We're ready to go.
Okay, so one of the things that we tend to leave out during these kinds of talks is, sometimes things just don't always go so great. Snags, sometimes they fall in our face. So, how about if you tell us, some of the more difficult things you've faced, or some of the bad things or mistakes you've made, things you learned along the way?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's really easy to get caught up in all of the positives, and in reality, the positives just so greatly outweigh anything negative that I could talk about. But I think some of it does relate to the whole concept, first of all, of puberty. That your body, your brain is adjusting to a completely new hormonal setup, which I think is I used the word wondrous before, and I think it truly is. That our bodies are programmed to be able to adjust to those differences. Within each of us, we have that ability to change based on that hormonal breakdown that we have. But there are some negative times. So, one of the things that has happened to me a couple times have been crying jags, right? I woke up one Saturday morning a few weeks ago, and I was sitting at the computer in our den, and all of a sudden, I just started blubbering. I mean, the tears were flowing. I went through about an hour of nothing but crying, blowing my nose. I went through a half a box of tissues, all for absolutely no reason at all. And so it was really, really difficult for me to change, to really understand what was going on. And so it's just times like that all of a sudden emotionally you get caught up, and you don't really understand why initially. There are times where I find myself overreacting to things like a comment that gets made, And all of a sudden it'll just like set off tears, or or I'll get angry or something. And then I realize, especially after sitting and talking with my therapist for a bit of time as well, is that it's all part of this puberty, this hormonal change that I just have to get used to. So I think from that perspective, those are kind of the negative things that I've noticed, where I can get, I can cause problems both for myself and for Lynn and me, because I'll overreact at times, and so I'm trying very hard now not to do that, to understand and recognize those emotional changes when they come up, and I'm very hopeful that over time that'll kind of just or smooth out, and I'll stop having those episodes once puberty has gone.
Yeah, you mentioned that goofy hormonal balance. I'm not going to give away your entire age, but you do have 70-ish years of living in a body that was a testosterone-based brain.
Right. Absolutely.
And you're not doing that anymore. So, your experiences and things no longer apply so well, and you're trying to learn how to deal with an estrogen brain.
Right. Yeah, most definitely. And my dosages have adjusted. I just recently moved to estradiol valerate, in injectable form, as opposed to the pill form, which in some respects, the pills can be more scary. The potentially higher incidence of DVTs, or heart attack, or whatever. So on one level, it's really been exciting to do that. Yet at the same time, it's almost like I felt an immediate reaction, that my body with the first week of having taken that first injection, really, I've noticed some quick changes. So, and we can talk about all that later.
Okay. Now, I'll make my apologies to our community. Yeah, I'm kind of a dinosaur, so I get stuck on some old terms, and we know that the older fashioned terms of medical transition and surgical transition, social transition, are getting to be a little bit dated, and we talk more about our gender journey. So please, bear with me, folks. But my brain kind of gets stuck on those old terms. If we focus just on the social part of your journey, April, tell us what's been the progress in the world you live in and the world that you experience on the outside.
Right. I probably haven't had a tremendous amount of change since 3 months. A few more family members have been added to that list of people who know who I am. One, in some cases they were planned, and in some cases unplanned. I think we may have talked previously about the fact that you want to try and control your own message, to control that process of coming out to people, so that you can portray your story as you want to portray it. Sometimes though, it gets out of your own hands, and someone makes the comment, or in this case, posts to a group chat text for an extended group of family who hadn't previously known, and who I had not necessarily planned to tell at that point, that exploded all at once. But went very well, no problems at all. I was actually kind of amazed at the messages, the private messages that followed from those members of my extended family, that were very positive, very welcoming, very loving. And so it worked out, but you never just kind of know what's going to happen. Community wise, again, it's difficult for me because I am so well known here in the community, and in a lot of realms. And so it's been very slow And I think it will kind of continue that way over time. There are things that I having a harder time hiding. There are some changes, that people will notice more and more. My doctor, when I had my last session with him a couple of weeks ago, mentioned that, gee, I think your face, you're seeing some changes in your face. You're becoming a little less angular, a little more rounded, more feminine. And I wasn't sure if it was the hormones or if it was all the Christmas cookies that I've eaten. That I now need to get rid of, and so who knows what's going to happen. But, those are the things that Lynn and I have to kind of work our way through, what and where and how. And, it's not all my decision, right? It is our decision to make as we go forward. So I still have my, kind of, and as androgynous as I can be, times, but it's for the most part it's going as we have wanted and as we have planned to do that. So which has always been a slow approach to where we tried to control the message and control that circle, ever widening circle of people who know.
Okay. I'm going to circle back and ask you specifically about Lynn here in just a bit. If you look in the mirror, what do you see today? And what did you see 6 months ago?
Right. I like to think, I was 6 months ago, I was 2.5 months into what, has been a transition. And I felt good. I felt confident, but I was still fighting the dysphoria, which is why we ultimately made the decision to start the hormone therapy to eliminate that. And that has happened. That is an amazing aspect of what's occurred. But even back then, there were times that I would look in that mirror and not be sure of who I was looking at. I wanted to believe that it was April, but there was always still some amount of, I don't know, fear is probably not the right word, but something, doubt, I guess, that, was I just kind of faking it, right? And I think you hear that a lot. You hear the issue of imposter syndrome. Am I just faking it? That's not the case now. I've found that, as my hormone levels have changed drastically, and there was quite a drop in my testosterone between the last 2 times. Not as much of an increase in estrogen as I had hoped for, and again, one of the reasons that I moved to Valerate instead of pills. But I think that has helped me, to kind of put those final bits of questioning behind me. I look in the mirror and I see myself. I see me, and who is that? Well, it's me. It doesn't matter necessarily what name I put to that, right? It's me. And that has given me a sense of confidence and a level of comfort that I don't worry so much anymore about how I'm presenting it. And it's made my life much easier. I can get up and just throw on some casual clothes and feel good about myself. I don't have to come home and, like my wife and I would, we'd go to church and come back, and I would go through the whole rigmarole of getting dressed up and full makeup and everything. And now it's like, I come home, and I slap on a little bit of mascara and maybe an eyebrow pencil and some lipstick, and that's it. because I'm comfortable with me. And so I think that's probably, if there is anything that I could say really has jumped out about that last 3 months, really, that change in the hormones, I think, has driven a lot of that.
Okay. Now, yeah, I think you touched on a couple of things, but let me put you on the spot, and I'm going to paint you into a tight corner. What is the very best thing that has changed for you in the past 6 months?
It is most definitely moving from pills to Valerate, to moving to the injectables, because it's eliminated a tremendous worry that I've had. And I knew that going into my last session, in fact, talking with the doctor, his first comment was, we're going to move you from, your current dose up to another next higher dose of pills. And that was scary to me. And so I had crafted an entire argument around, having worked with you as a physician and understanding all of this. I had an entire argument put together on how I was going to try and convince him to allow me to switch, because he had told me before that he liked to wait till about a year, and so here I am at 6 months. And so I as soon as he mentioned that to me, I said, well, doctor, I'd really like to talk about moving to Valerate. And he said, oh, okay, well, if that's what you want to do, great, we can figure that out. And it was like, I went stupid, is if you could say any more stupid than I really am. I went stupid for about 2 minutes, where I don't even know that I heard. He was talking about dosages and all, and I was like a deer in the headlight because my arguments, I'm running them through my mind, and I didn't need them. But I did notice. Excuse me, we're both fighting whatever those sniffles are, right? I did notice that I had a pretty quick reaction, in certain body areas that I thought had settled a bit, and now all of a sudden is like, whoa. So definitely, excuse me, seeing some change and in my levels, and I'm about a week and a half into that first injection. So,
okay, you've mentioned your wife, Lynn, many times over these times that we've spoken. All right, so tell us all about Lynn. Where's her head? Where's her heart? Where are the two of you?
So I'm sitting here, and Lynn is standing across from me right now, showing off and making me laugh. So she's waved. So, one thing I never want to do is to speak for Lynn. I can't do that, and nor is it fair. Would it ever be fair for me to do that? So what I can do, though, is put it in context of her reactions with me and things that I've seen over the last, few months since the last time that we talked. And really, it's, what has really been just so wonderful for me has been some things that she's done that have shown me how much she's willing to accept me, as much as this is a huge and tremendous change, right? After 50 plus years of marriage, that things that she's done for me to make me feel comfortable with myself. And so, I talk about a couple. We typically every year for many years have gone on a vacation to Antigua, lay on the beach, enjoy ourselves. And so, because we have been there so many times, people know me in a male form. They don't know this me, other than now they see the changes, that have been occurring, the length of hair and earrings and all of those things. And so I typically will dress in as androgynous a dress as I can. when we go out for dinner at night and things like that. And so one of the early nights, I after we got to our dinner, I was dressed, and Lynn was getting, finishing up dressing, and I'm standing there looking in the mirror, and it was just kind of an ugh, here, here I am. And she said, she grabbed me and she said, here, and she grabbed some mascara, and she just put a little bit of mascara on my eyes, and gave me a little bit of a lip balm, and she said, there, you're beautiful. And it was like pretty much all I could do, just not cry. But again, it's that kind of acceptance thing. And she has planned now for us a trip to Key West at the end of the month here, to go down, where I'm going to have an opportunity to just be me for that entire trip. And one of the things, she's back into sewing. She loves to sew. She loves to do things. And so one of the things that she's done was she made a crossbody bag for herself to carry her phone and, a little bit of money and credit cards. And she made one for me. So we have not matching, different materials, but we have both crossbody bags. And then the last was that she did just yesterday. She'd been talking about, she made a case for her Kindle, and she was going to make one for her iPad to carry. And she said, I'll make one for your computer, the computer I'm working off right here in Omnibook. And so she said, but I have something special for you, right? So she brought it to me yesterday to show me. And what she had done was an embroidered a piece to go on the front of my case that says April's computer case, and with a stylized A and flowers. And, so it's those little things that she does, has done, continues to do, that just, just tells me how much she loves me. And it just makes me feel so very blessed to have her in my life, to have her still part of this life, the best part of my life. And so I really do feel blessed from that perspective.
Yeah, I think
she walked by shaking her head because she knows I'm right.
Most of our audience is probably melted into a puddle of tears listening. You're just so blessed, to have a spouse of 50 plus years that stands by really something that's earth shattering, for most couples.
Absolutely, yes. Yes.
God bless you, girl. And Lynn, if you can still hear me, God bless you.
She's laughing in the other room. So
you too.
All right. All right. I'm actually going to write a couple of things down here, but I'll put you on the spot again. Look into your crystal ball. What do you see that's going to happen over the next 6 months? Where do you see yourself and Lynn going? I know you can't speak for her, but what do the two of you think are coming up in your future? I'm gonna write them down, and we'll trot those things out in 6 more months.
Right. I think that we'll continue to have a slow moving pace of changes, maybe socially or whatever, because we've just both continued to become more and more comfortable with ourselves. And I'm, as I try and get control of these emotions from puberty, I think I'll be better at that. But I don't see drastic changes for us in the next 6 months or so. I think I just see probably a change, a continuation of where we have. There's some other family members that we need to talk to. There are a couple of Lynn's siblings who don't know yet Most do, and so we need to catch up there, I think, before things become more evident, or it just kind of slips out, as it could happen, as it did with my on my sister's side of the family. But otherwise, I think I'm going to continue to see some change, body changes. I'm going to continue to see some mental changes as my hormone continue to adjust a little bit. The testosterone remains low, and the estrogen drives up higher to a more normal level, to where it should be, on the female side. So, I think those changes, we'll have to deal with. We love to travel, and so we're planning trips and travel, and wherever that may be. We'll see what form that takes, and I think I feel so very blessed and close to Lynn at this point. I've always loved her. We've always been close. It just seems like it is so nice now to sit together, like we did last night watching a football game. Just sit next to each other and just holding hands, or just that strengthening is just amazing to me. The strengthening of our relationship, it just feels so very good, and so I'm hopeful that that's going to continue as we go through these next 6 months.
Okay. Well, it kind of gave me a great segue to my big, I guess, closing question. So look backwards. Some of the really important things that you want us to know about the entirety of your gender journey and transitioning. How do you think that your path might be similar or dissimilar to our brothers and sisters here at CDH and TGH?
Right. I think that we are all on a journey. Some of us, our journey, each of our journeys is different. Some of ours is a little longer and, maybe more difficult at times, but we all face those same challenges, based on family relationships and our own understandings of who we are. So, I don't think that I am drastically different than any of our sisters or brothers who might be on the CDH side, or those that are on the TGH side, right? We're all on this journey together, and we all have high points and low points. And so, I think that it's very easy to focus on the physical changes. I know I found myself early on, like, looking in the mirror every day. It's like waiting for something to happen. Now I'm much, some things will catch me when I'm not really expecting them, because I'll happen to notice something. But it is very much a marathon. It is not a race, right? It's or a sprint. It is definitely a marathon of change that we're on, and so I think, again, we're all very similar, and our maybe the race that we're running is slightly different, but we're all in it together. We're all doing the same kinds of things.
Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're 6 months in. Lynn has been a big part of the story, and I'd love to be able to get her out there. So
we'll see. We'll see about that.
The next 6 months, okay?
We'll see about that.
But
those of you that, if you're going to Keystone, people will get a chance to meet Lynn at Keystone this year. So.
All right, good for you.
Yeah.
So to our brothers and sisters, that are watching, we're a part of your life. You're a part of our lives. We share so many things, and we really do appreciate the several people who have come to do some video recordings with us and share their lives and bits and pieces, some funny things, some good things, and some not so great things. Right. April, we thank you so much, for doing this with us and for us. This is an important enduring material for CDH and TGH. And so, if those of you watching, hey, I'll put a plug in here. Send this lady a note and thank her for doing this and being so public about what's going on in her life. Okay, we'll see you, I think, in 6 more months at the 1-year mark. Maybe
Right.
something fantastic will happen that we need to kind of get you back a little bit before that.
Yeah.
But April, this is your show. You have the last words.
You know, this journey has been so amazing, and I think one of the most rewarding parts of it, and the things that has really helped me, has been the relationships that I've formed through CDH and TGH. I have made so many good friends. I've had so much support, kindness. It is truly an amazing community that we are all a part of. And I would be very remiss if I did not thank each and every one of you. And I wish I could do it more than just saying right here, thank you for everything that you've done for me over this almost year now that I've been a member at CDH and TGH. But it is truly a community of loving and supportive people. And I would not be sitting here as happy as I am right now if it were not for many of those friendships that I've made along the way, including you, Dee, who, you have just been such an amazing mentor and guide for me and friend. And I feel very blessed.
Thank you. And you bless each and every one of us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are on planet Earth, this may be good morning, good afternoon, good night. But thank you so much for being with us here today. Good day.
Bye.